We are at our 17th podcast for the 19th of Elul, Sunday, September 10th. 10 more days till Elul is over and Rosh Hashanah starts. We're studying the three unique sections of the Rosh Hashanah Amidah, called the Musaf Amidah in the traditional prayer book. The middle one is Zechronot. Yesterday we looked at the theme of kingship, which has 10 verses. Now there are 10 verses from Tanakh, from the Bible, that speak of God's remembering us for good. God remembers everything, every action, every motivation, every thought. This actually can be a great comfort. We often think that our efforts went nowhere. We got nothing accomplished. We spent years trying and didn't see any results. We shed so many tears. And where did all that go? The answer is into the treasury kept by God, a God of infinite compassion. We also know, however, in human memory, the past can stir up regrets and anger. We have a choice to remember the good or the bad, but some of it is, as we say, unconscious. Our prayer here tells us God doesn't have an unconscious. The divine memory is complete and unclouded from the beginning of time. And as for our relationship with God, we know it hasn't always been good. We've pushed God out of our thoughts. We've done things that distort our relationship. So now what we're asking God is to remember the covenant, the glue that holds us together throughout the human span of time. In human memories, we like to recall festivals, weddings, and B'nai Mitzvah celebrations. Here, the memories of the covenant are good, but they often come out of great struggle. God remembered Noah. Against the background of horrible violence that human beings had done and the destruction of the world to start over, there emerged Noah, who had his own faults too, but was loyal to God, and God established with him a covenant. God also remembered the covenant when he heard the groaning of the Israelites in slavery in Egypt, that is, remembering the covenant with the ancestors. Abraham, tested 10 times, and the last test in agony over sacrificing his son, represents the covenant that we ask God to remember now. Psalm 106 and Ezekiel 16 are referenced. Those chapters recount many instances of rebellion, but God still heard their cry and remembered for them his covenant, remembered it for them when they weren't remembering. And God remembers how our ancestors expressed, as it is put, the love of your bridal days, how you followed me in the wilderness in an unsown land. We did stay with the covenant then, even when the future was completely unknown. And when Rachel was weeping for her children, her descendants, who were being carried into captivity, God said, I earnestly remember him, my son Ephraim. My heart yearns for him. I will surely have compassion on him. This is what we long for, to be remembered when we feel most lost, most unremembered. We call up those times to our collective memory now and ask God to bring them to mind as well. As we said, God doesn't forget, but it's the expression brought to mind suggests that certain memories become alive. They become a presence in the present. And this is the ground of relationship. So the prayers of Zechronot are a good time for us to contemplate our history, our personal history and that of our family, the history of the Jewish people in our lifetimes and in the memories of those around us, and the long, long arc of history through which our people have traveled, and the history of the world. The sages and poets who wrote our prayers glimpsed God as a light in the darkness, a promise, a movement toward salvation, a door out of our prison. This Zichronot section reminds us that it has often been a trail of tears, and yet, at the darkest moment, some new light appeared. That light is grounded in God's remembering. For this blessing, we also have to take the big perspective and pray for the shattering of darkness in our times.